Let's go and see what Lynn's up to. What are you up to, Button? What are you up to?
Well, as you can see, sweets, we're planting lettuce again. We're really fortunate that sort of where we are in Italy, lettuce grows all year round, and salada we're talking about. So we've got various varieties of lettuce, and at the moment we went yesterday and stopped off at a lady and I bought some plug plants. As you can see, we've got some lettuce here, and I've already behind us got some lettuce that's been growing throughout the whole of the winter. So we've been really fortunate, you know, that we have our homegrown lettuce and we can have salad whenever we like. You can probably also see that we're growing in what you call raised beds. This wasn't how we originally started when we did do some growing. We actually just sort of grow in the soil like most of the Italians do that are living around us. Some of them were actually quite surprised when we did our raised beds. You can see for yourself, they're quite long. We've got 6 of them, and Steve made these for me, and then I read that it was a really good idea to use a mixture of olive oil and white wine vinegar, red wine vinegar, which is actually very cheap out here, and we had some old olive oil from a particular year where we actually got a lot of oil. So I actually covered all of this wood with olive oil and a mixture, as I say, of the vinegar. And what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to help the wood over the time, but the other thing is it's supposed to be really good to keep those insects away, which it appears to do. What it didn't seem to do was when I was preparing it, we forgot that Button absolutely loves olive oil, and she actually she was licking the olive oil off the wood as I was trying to put it on. But anyway, it's all dry now and I'll probably have to do it again at some point. But you know, we are fortunate. We actually had the olive oil to use, and I mean, our olive oil's perhaps too good to use. We can't use the new olive oil, but the old olive oil is no problem. If you like, Steve, should I take us around the garden and show a little bit more of what we've done?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, it's a good idea. That coating that goes on the wood as well, it's noticeably waterproofing the wood.
Yeah. Because
when it rains, you see the droplets of rain sitting on top of the wood.
I would also say you might be noticing we've got a lot of leaf debris within our raised beds, and I mean that actually came from the woods that are just behind us. We've got lots of trees there, and just sort of towards the autumn time what we did is we collected big bags of a mixture of leaf and everything and created the leaf mould for the raised beds, and we've also had to put extra soil into the raised beds. You know, I'm not a gardener by any means, just to sort of tell you that I did love gardening with my grandfather. My granddad used to take me down to his allotments, and he used to show leeks and chrysanthemums. So maybe those people up north, I think people still do show leeks and chrysanthemums, and you know, who's got the biggest tomato, who's got the biggest pumpkin or whatever. Unfortunately, they don't do that in our village because we've had some very unusual shaped tomatoes that we grew last year, which we will be growing lots of tomatoes again this year because they're, well, favourite for us, and also they just grow so easy, and oh my goodness, the taste, I can't describe it to you. Sunshine in a tomato. We can't actually deny we love eating outside, and we seem to do that most of the time of the year. As I say, we're in February at the moment, and we've just had some lunch outside, and it's just fabulous. It could actually be in short sleeves, but to be honest, there's a few little mosquitoes starting at this moment in time. And where Steve is actually standing, we've got a nice long bed of lavender that we have specifically grown. We grew this lavender last year, and in fact they were really quite small plants when we bought them. And partly the reason for that was to grow the lavender was lavender's brilliant to keep the mosquitoes away. So this is the lavender that we've grown, and it's a nice long bed, as I mentioned. Keeps the mosquitoes away, and it also keeps the little baby scorpions away that we get every so often. I did lose one plant last year, I don't know why, and so I have replanted, and I've got this tiny baby plant at the moment, and hopefully I'll get it to grow. I think Button's having fun at the moment while Steve is doing the lavender. Yes, you are, aren't you? You might also notice that we haven't actually got any shingle or anything on the ground at the moment, and partly that was because firstly we wanted to see how this was going to work for us, and it's working really well. We're very impressed with what we've actually done, and we will be putting some shingle above this matting that we've put down on the ground, and the matting's purely to stop the weeds.
But it's worked quite well though, isn't it?
Oh, it's worked fabulous.
I mean, I think we put another layer down on top, and
Yeah.
what we're doing is we're making up metal pins about 4 inches deep, 4 inches wide, just out of fence wire really, and it holds it down lovely. I just wanted to see if the ground was going to move at all, because obviously this was new soil to get the piece of land flat. You'll see the house in the background, and this was really well, it was quite wet, and I needed to raise and also flatten the land a bit, so I knew that the land would press down a little bit, and I think this year we'll probably get another layer on and then put the shingle on top.
Yeah, it's quite a big job actually to put all this down, and you did a fabulous job, didn't you? But as I say, a double layer is probably going to really do what we want. And you can see here I've got a gorgeous rosemary bush. It's growing lovely, and we love roast potatoes with rosemary. This bed last year we grew melons for the first time. It was a bit of an experiment. Probably might be Steve can show a picture with the melons, but unfortunately it was so hot last year and the melons needed a lot of water. So
yeah, we managed to get 8.
I was going to say, what was it?
One of them was fantastic, tasted exactly like a melon should, and the other ones, they just, I don't know whether they were underripe or overripe. I couldn't really tell, to be honest.
No.
They weren't overly large, but the one that was good was fantastic.
And also our neighbour who grows his vegetables on the other side, he was growing watermelons at the time, and he said exactly the same as us. Unfortunately, his watermelons didn't really do any good. You probably wonder, Button, should we show them what we've got underneath here? What have we got under this plant pot? Come see, look, this way, sweets. Have a look with Mummy. What have we got? Should we see? Look at this big rock. And then we've got the plant pot. And hopefully, oh yes I have, you might be able to recognise it. It's my beetroot. You don't, sorry, beetroot, what am I talking about? My rhubarb.
You did say you weren't a gardener.
Yeah, I did say I wasn't a gardener, oh God. We do grow beetroot as well. I did quite well on the beetroot last year, but you can see at least my rhubarb has survived, which is brilliant. So I'm going to cover that back up again. Can you see it, Steve? Have we got my rhubarb? My mum grows rhubarb up in Northumberland, and she gets a great crop of rhubarb. We got this rhubarb for the first time last year, and we just tried a small amount, and I'm hoping to do much better this year. Now I'm going to put that back on there, and next to it we've got a few strawberry plants. I probably have to tidy those up, and I also need to put some straw underneath the strawberry plants, because if I don't, you're probably going to tell me that's what I need to do. But I believe it's best to put straw underneath strawberries. Don't know whether that was sort of done for the reason, but straw under strawberries. So I'll be doing that. Behind us I've got a little bit of mint that's gone a little bit wild. This particular bed at the moment's got nothing in it. It had tomatoes last year. Not sure if I'm putting tomatoes back in here again. You can probably see maybe the odd eggshell, because we do collect our eggshells when we have eggs for breakfast or any time. and I put my eggshells back into the soil, my banana peel. Basically, I'm trying to do what I think's best for our soil. Even though we know that our soil is rich soil, it still needs to be nourished. We're moving down here a little bit. You can see I've got some chard. The leaves of this chard are really quite nice. Lovely, lovely vegetables with our roast dinners. And then I have my wigwam. Steve built this wigwam for me last year, and we grew runner beans, we grew peas there, and it was fabulous. So I've got my peas to plant, which I collected from the lady yesterday. So I'm going to be putting peas around here. This is the time to put the peas in, and I've actually got some seeds in here as well, which are some runner bean seeds, which will take a little bit longer. If anybody thinks I perhaps shouldn't have mixed them, do tell me, and then I'll realise that maybe I can plant some runner beans somewhere else. There's another wigwam that Steve did for us last year, and these are just sort of wood that we collected when we went walking with Button. And this one was for growing my cucumbers, wasn't it? I got the cucumbers. I haven't really got a lot in the garden to show you at the moment, but as sort of time goes by, you're going to see a lot of the fruit and vegetables. I've got literally 3 leeks left in the garden, which have been great when I've made the broth, and also fabulous leek and potato soup we've had. So the leeks have done great, and I've got 3 little leeks left there. What else can I show you? Oh, behind me, you can probably just see behind me here, I've got some cabbages. These are growing at the moment, and also some purple broccoli. Well, that's what the lady told me. It'll be interesting to see whether it is purple broccoli when it matures. We did get given a lot of garlic, and they didn't mature last year, but strangely enough, they're popping up this year. Garlic's supposed to be really good and really easy to grow. So these bits that are sticking up here are garlic, and I've got some around the edge of where I've got the onions as well. What else can I show you? Oh, which is mega important for us, which I forgot all about. You might have noticed we've actually got a thin wire fence all the way round our raised beds. And you might wonder, well, why on earth are they bothering? Well, we do get what's called the chingali, which are the wild boar. We get stray dogs that walk around from the village. But this thin wire has really helped. It's really made a difference. It doesn't cost very much. Steve put it in. Our intention is to have some planting to go all the way around, which I think will look fabulous, and so does Steve, but that's another job. And also over this area where we've still got space, we can either put another raised bed, or we're going to put more lavender. We're not actually sure, but if you've got any suggestions, please tell us, because it would be great to hear from you. What do you want in that other section, Steve? Nice seat, glass of wine?
Yeah, probably a nice glass of Montepulciano and some nice fresh tomatoes. I know last year we got the growing in early, and the tomatoes were absolutely fantastic. I think we had, I mean, it's not a huge area this, but it's good enough to grow 1,000 tomatoes in, that's for sure. You're getting them all the time once they start growing. Tomatoes are absolutely gorgeous, and it doesn't really matter which, brand or make or whatever you call the tomatoes. The small ones are delicious, and as well as the big, as well as the big ones. I think they're called buffalo, aren't they, or something?
And the other thing is, Steve, here's an eggshell which I haven't actually crushed at the moment. So when I planted the tomatoes, I did read about planting the baby plants inside the eggshell, and I did it. Didn't I?
Yeah.
And it seemed to work.
To the right of Lynn's head is the barn. We haven't introduced the barn yet. It's a skeleton structure which we've slowly been taking apart, and that's going to stay like that for some time until we are going to start to tackle that. It's quite an important building because it's quite large and it's going to keep all the machinery in there and everything else. So that's, if anybody's wondering what that funny structure is with just stone columns, that is the baracca, which is the barn. So baracca is the word for barn in
Italian. Something else that we've got in our sort of garden area here, Steve, we've got those lovely, we've got one here that's got in its wine basket.
Yeah.
We actually saw that when we visited the Antica Rigatare, which means the, what does it mean, Steve?
Junkyard.
Junkyard, that's exactly it. Well, it's basically the junk dealer, and we've already got this one. Steve actually found it when he went for a walk down a crevice, and then had to sort of scramble down there to get it, didn't you?
Yeah, so I think somebody had thrown them away, which is a real shame because they're not cheap to buy.
No, but they look great. We've got a few at the other side of the lavender bush, and I've put those little baby fairy lights in with batteries, and at a night time when they're on they look great, and you know, it just brightens it all up. And then you can obviously see we've got 3 beautiful olive trees in amongst the garden. They were here first and there was no way that they were going to get moved. And at night time we have a few little spotlights, little solar spotlights that shine on them, and it really looks quite pretty, even though there's not that much in it at the moment.
I was advised to take the olive trees out, the 3 that are in the actual veg patch, and well, what they do is, because the sun comes around behind where the camera is at the moment, the 3 olive trees are in a straight line, and what happens is that the olive trees just give a little bit of shade. So depending on what you're planting, obviously tomatoes like your direct sunlight, but other things we've noticed don't respond to the very, very hot. I mean, obviously in the summer we're getting up to, you know, sometimes 38, 40 degrees quite easily for extended periods of time. And actually leaving those 3 olive trees has meant that the veg can take some shade every now and again.
That's true. And also, it's funny because we thought we might have had a problem when it came to actually picking the olives off the tree, but in fact we managed okay with the nets and everything, so that was okay, and most of the things that were under these olive trees were low anyway, but we had no problems, did we?
Yeah, I think when it comes to pruning time, probably in March, April, I think that's the pruning time for the olive trees. We'll just take them back a little bit further than perhaps we do some of the other trees.
Oh, the other thing is, what we tend to do, and we do get quite a bit of rain in the area. It might not rain for days, but then when it does rain, it rains very heavy, and we've got a container where we actually collect the water, and I use the rainwater for all my plants. So we're trying to be ecologically friendly the best we can. So let me get on with my planting and say goodbye to you now. I've got my gloves on, so mwah to you all. Please subscribe and ding that bell.